Jeff Whitten.
Jeff, 3 successive wins. You must now have the finals firmly in your sights.
Yes, I do, Jim. I do. I think today was a hard game. North applied a lot of pressure to us. They were desperate. But the boys were a bit leg weary at the end. We had a very hard week training this week, and I wasn't disappointed. Well, I was disappointed that they fell away as quickly, but I understood why.
Jeff, when you were appointed as coach, you had your critics. I think you would probably admit yourself now, or hope that this would silence them.
Well, I think it's early days yet. I feel the team has lifted. I feel the confidence in the team and the endeavour to win the ball now is there. And, you know, if I've done that, well, that's something.
The Bay looked like winning it fairly comfortably in the last quarter, but in those final few minutes, the heart must have flooded.
Yeah. We exposed a few weaknesses. A few weaknesses were exposed there with us, but that's good because now we can look at covering those. And as long as they keep wanting to win the ball and they keep getting fitter, you know, let's hope we can keep moving on.
Jeff, in the first half, the McQueen brothers are a major problem for you, yet they're hardly sighted in the second half.
Well, I think Mike Seddon lifted his game. We've made a few more changes up around the back line, and we had people covering, and the on-ball players dropping back to cover the short ones. That helps a lot. It helps the backman a lot. That's where we fell down towards the end of the last quarter. They didn't get back quickly enough and let their loose men run.
I was going to pay tribute to your half-back line, such as Williams, Johnson and Stevenson, to name 3.
Yes.
Are you critical of them at all?
No.
On what you've just said?
No, not at all. But they need the help for North's on-ball players running down quickly. They need those men to be covered, and we just didn't do that right at the end.
Well, let's be positive and have a look at McGregor at centre-half forward.
Oh, great game. I asked Jock for a big game today, and I think he did what he was expected to do. I was very pleased. I asked him to move a lot, and because he is quick, and his pace helped.
And this was Fox's best game for Sandy Bay?
Yes, well, see, he's getting fitter now.
Yeah.
He's working a bit hard on the track. And,
still overweight?
Certainly, and he'll admit that too. I'm taking the scales down on Monday night. We're going to weigh him every day and see how he goes.
You seem to win the ball out of the centre more than North Hobart today, Jeff.
Well, I was very pleased with Chris Waterworth for his first game since I've been here, and he's a good tapping ruckman. Certainly he's not fit either. We brought him in really to just condition him into the team because we will need him later in the season.
And Osborne?
Graham Osborne. Well, Graham... very sore. I mean, he's been carrying this and carrying that. He got hit hard a few times, and it wasn't his normal game today.
Well, one final point with respect to a player that could assist you in the finals, and I guess he's down a little bit, and I refer to Patrick Bailey.
Yes, I don't know what's wrong with Pat. His desire was there today. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just a little bit out of touch at the moment.
Well, we'll be watching the Bay with much interest from here in, Jeff.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, they're only percentage out of the 5 and a chance of making it.
Yeah, you've got an interesting match coming up in 3 weeks' time when they play Devonport.
That could be the crunch.
Yeah, Devonport and the Bay both got a couple of hard ones coming up in the next few weeks, and then they play at Coimbra in 3 weeks' time, and that could tell the story.
OK, let's go back into the Sandy Bay rooms, and Jim Manson now talks with Michael McGregor.
Mike, a superb game at centre-half forward. Is this your best game for the Bay?
Yeah, I reckon, yeah, for sure. Easily.
Well, your field marking was excellent.
Big pun?
Your field marking was excellent.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's slowly getting back better. It's taken me a while this year, but getting my confidence back now, I hope, anyway. So,
you always had a good pair of hands?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Mike, despite your 6 goals, I'm told that you can still improve your kicking.
Yeah, yeah, I'm still missing a few here and there.
A fine win by the Bay, but I guess the heart fluttered a little bit towards the finish.
Yeah, it was a bit of a worry, especially in that 50-metre penalty down there, and they kicked that goal, but we always had that little 2-point buffer where they had to kick the extra goal, and I didn't really think they could do it, but it was pretty disappointing to finish off like that. I thought we could have finished over top of them and maybe boosted their percentage like we needed to, but well, it was just good to get away with the points, really. It's great.
Young Michael McGregor there, and Colin, if he can kick goals each week and Wayne Fox can kick his 6 or 7, that's going to be a winning score.
Well, that's right. There's nothing better than a 2-pronged attack. I mean, very few teams have it, and if Sandy Bay can develop it, then they've got the nucleus of a very good team.
And if he can hold down centre-half forward, every side's crying out for centre-half forward.
Well, we know how hard it's been to pick a
Yeah,
centre-half forward.
picking our star
Super
side,
team.
our super team. We're struggling for centre-half forward. So hang in there, Michael, because the position's still up for grabs. Colin, I don't know whether you do you mind the sight of blood around lunchtime on Sunday?
Oh, I don't. I'm a little bit queasy about blood any time
Are
of the
you?
week.
Well, Jim Manson doesn't seem to mind, but I must warn you, if you don't like the sight of blood and you're having your Sunday roast or looking forward to it, well, maybe close one eye to this interview, become one-eyed, as Jim Manson talks with Alan Thorpe.
Alan, do you remember when you sustained that eye injury?
Yeah, in the second quarter.
In the second quarter, how did it occur?
I don't know, mate. I don't know how it happened.
Just a clash with another player?
Yeah, just a flash, yeah.
And how many stitches does it look like having?
About half a dozen, I reckon.
About 6 stitches in that eye. Do you remember much of the game afterwards?
Yeah.
Showed a bit of courage going on with that fella.
That's what it's all about. It's the only way you're going to win games, isn't it?
Oh, that was terrible. Jim, that's one of the worst you've done over lunchtime, putting us through that. But it was a pretty bad injury over the eye that Alan Thorpe
Glad you didn't show me that before, thanks.
No, well, I didn't last night. I thought, I'll save that one for you. But the look on your face when it came on, because you were seeing it for the first time. OK, this one's a little better. You won't see that. We'll go back into the rooms as Jim Manson now talks with North Hobart coach Roland Crosby.
I guess today's defeat ends all finals aspirations?
Well, it seems that way, Jim. I mean, it's a fairly tight competition, so you just don't know. But it would appear that our chances are very, very slim. But as I said to the players after the game, we'll just hang in there. I mean, our last 2 games have been encouraging. Our win against Hobart was good, and we played the game out today. There were certain areas that were disappointing today, which obviously cost us the game. But I don't think over the last 2 weeks our commitment could be questioned.
No. At the same time, your first half was most promising. McQueen's went well, for example, but everything fell apart the second half.
Yeah, well, the third quarter we seemed to have plenty of the ball, but we just didn't. Our delivery into the forward line was fairly poor, and that was one of the areas I think probably cost us the game. And the other areas we just didn't seem to get enough players to the contest. We had too many players running past the contest rather than to it. And I think they're the 2 areas that probably cost us the game in a tight situation.
It's interesting you say that the delivery into the forward line was poor, yet you just seem to break down across the half-forward line. The players just seem to be missing.
Yeah, but I think that had a lot to do with the way the ball was delivered. You know, so, I mean, that's the way the game goes. If you don't, you can get the ball all you like in defence, but if you don't set it up forward, then it, you know, it'll be rebounded back, and often, as a result of poor delivery into the forward line, it cost us goals down the other end, or accounted for goals for Sandy Bay.
And Sandy Bay appeared to have too much height for you.
Yeah, they were a little bit tall. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, losing Butts in the first couple of minutes
Would you like to comment on the Butts
us.
incident at all?
Well, no, not really. I mean, I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. I mean, he was knocked out, but I wouldn't have a clue how it happened.
I don't suppose you can lay the blame at anyone's feet for, say, losing the game outright, but by gee, that shot of Sam Gorringes would have been handy had he been successful in the last few minutes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I said to the players after the game, there's a number of things you can look back on that may have cost us the game when it's so close. A mistake by a defender that possibly let Sandy Bay in for a goal, or a misdirected kick by us that wasn't converted to a goal. But when you lose by 8 points, you will consider all those things. I mean, I'm naturally disappointed at losing the game, but I thought that our players acquitted themselves very well as far as their commitment was concerned. Probably in the last quarter, we've run the ball better than we have at any other stage during the year.
Well, Roland, what does a coach do at this stage of the season when all appears lost?
Well, if you look at the season that all appears lost, you'll just go through the motions. It's really not lost for us. We've got a lot of good young players, and I mean 5 of them have just contesting the Teal Cup at this moment, and we'll be having a look at them when they come back. And, you know, there's 2 or 3 good young players that performed quite well today. Toddy Lewis and Coley, Anthony Cole and Sam Gorringe played quite well that you've already mentioned. So, I mean, all's not lost for North Hobart. In fact, I think that we're probably just starting to, if you like, for want of a better word, rebuild again. And we'll be looking at the next 5 or 6 weeks to try and win as many games as we can, and at the same time develop some of those young players and prepare for 1991. And you know, that's all you can do in this situation. At the same time, it's a fairly tight competition, and I'd like to think that we're going to have a say in the forming of the final 5. We play New Norfolk next week, and I'm fairly confident that we can beat New Norfolk.
Jim Manson talking with North Hobart coach Roland Crosby. We'll be back with more of the statewide league following the break.